Q&A, any questions or input. We can do a call out from the audience, or we can just come up and mingle. There should still be some food left, but I'm always using this, so that's
Can I ask you a question, Natalie, about all those grants you're going to be trying to get started in the grants you're going to try and get some work, to get some money for the work?
what about,
Well,
there'll be lots of late nights if that's.
yeah,
what
I
you
know.
Volunteering to help.
I'm just wondering, you know, I know what that process is, it's arduous, and you've probably already done it for the bigger one, right?
No, that's, we have a Sandag team here, not to put you on the spot, but Laura, I think you're one of the grant writers for Sandag, yeah, so a lot of the same ideas.
So are you competing, I'm just wondering, are you competing against?
I don't know, are you?
How many times did you go to the well?
It's different. Related, but there's.
So I know this one's $100 million.
Yeah, so it'll be easier to fund this.
Yeah.
Ours is smaller.
From a funding agency, it's gonna use a lot of funding sources probably for the bigger
So
CMAP
how many-
project. This one could probably be done with 1 or 2 funding sources.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. So you only need 1 or 2 really significant grants to do the smaller one?
Yeah. And one of the benefits of the changes they made in the design that wasn't mentioned is it's actually cheaper.
It looks
less complicated.
Yeah. So.
So I feel like our project and the larger lagoon complement each other, of course, because they fit together. We've been working closely together, and Julie's engineering team, David Paul, have been working with the engineers on the Sandag team to make sure that the edges fit together, right? Because that one slide I showed at the beginning, with Wetland Reserve and Lagoon, I mean, you've got these 2 edges that have to fit together, and it's more than that, but that's just part of it. So it's been very collaborative, and we really want that lagoon. We don't want to compete with, I mean, whenever we want to help get grants, so we write support letters. It's a big deal for us, so we want to help as much as we can. It's really tough right now to get grants, especially something as large and costly, so.
So are they, you're mostly targeting government agencies or philanthropists?
Well,
Bill Gates.
we're mainly state. If anybody knows anybody with lots of money, let us know. It started by the Dorrance Family Foundation, who ate or drank Campbell's soup, or back in the day, or. Okay, thank you so much, because you helped fund the Wetland. So the heirs to the Campbell Soup Company, the Dorrance family, made a lot of money thanks to all of us liking soup. And so they want to do good, so they have lots of money and they fund all sorts of things. They contacted National Audubon and said, we want to support wetlands restoration. And National Audubon contacted Audubon, California, and Audubon, California says, I know who I should talk to. So we collaborated together on a project with Audubon, California, our organization, and San Diego Audubon on doing wetland restoration. So San Diego Audubon, they don't have their own land, but they're working on the Mission Bay rewild restoration. And what's the connection? That's way down there. Well, it's like all these lagoons are like a string of pearls. Each one's important, but all of them collectively are vital for migrating birds, because they need that. They're out there flying, and they need that lagoon here and there. So that's the connection. So the Dorrance Family Foundation got that. It's important to fund collaboratively large-scale lagoons. And the tricky thing is a lot of the work we're doing is these maps. I mean, a funder, if they give you all this money, they want to see, they don't want to look at a map, they want to look at on-the-ground stuff. But to get to the on-the-ground work, you have to do the permits, all the work Julie and David do, the engineering, the permits. Julie, how many 46 documents for the city of Carlsbad? There's all these forms and documents. And that's to make sure the project doesn't cause any environmental harm and does what it's supposed to do. So while it's a lot of work, I appreciate the laws and regulations that, right, Julie? Yeah, so I think I answered your question. Yeah, okay.
A quick question. question. The redesign, was that request due to this being more of a nature-based design?
Good question. So nature-based, by that I think you mean the, like green, like dealing with, say, climate change, not by putting concrete in, but green, like allowing for wetland migration. So a big thing we were hearing was more space for wetlands migration. And Kellen, thank you again for your work in helping us along with that. So for example, the original plan had more open water, but what was really needed was more space for future wetlands, so more of the marsh, so we call that transitional areas.
And how are you gonna do those forms? Will it be,
How do we?
how are you gonna that's not the correct word, not landscape it, but how are you going to get those waves in there?
Oh, the waves grading, that would be a good.
The grading.
David, the engineer.
Grading?
That would be the grading according to
Yeah, these are
engineering.
the line just being changes in elevation.
Okay, it wouldn't be any like concrete or anything?
No, it's all,
Okay.
it's all, yeah, this is all,
Okay.
we're just moving dirt. So we're making it a little deeper
Similar
here.
to what they were doing at the Loma
Yeah,
Alpha.
exactly, making it a little
Correct.
deeper and then taking some of that material, moving it up here. So making it deeper so we have more
It's
wetlands.
pretty nature-based.
Yeah, just the line, just to show
So it's
changes.
smoother, but that shows all the elevations, like David was saying. But yeah, it's all green, it's just, the trick is, as Julie was pointing out, is that we have to plan for future scenarios. So right after our lagoon, or the project, and then the lagoon is, that's restored and the water level drops as the excavation removes all the cattails and muck. So water level drops, the habitat will change, and then you have sea level rise, the water rises again, and you lose all your wetlands, and there's a lot of loss of wetlands already. So as sea level rise, you want to make sure there's future wetlands. So it's really tough, and that's what David was working on, was what we do now, we have to think about what it'll be like in the year 2100, as best as we can. I mean, it's all modeling and predictions. So, I'm not sure if that made sense.
Well, it does, and like I said, I was just kind of curious about how that was going to be escaped in there, and, because nature-based, you want to keep
It's
it
like a-
nature,
like
but,
a-
you know,
a
it kind of
slope,
gets.
and here's the water, you know,
Sure.
right here. And so we flattened it out a little bit, so there's a little bit more water coming in. And then what's gonna happen after the lagoon, major lagoon, is it's gonna drop because that levee is gonna be adjusted, and it'll be tidal. So then the water will move up and down. And so we're just saying, let it move up and down, and then when sea level happens, we wanna make sure that it's not really steep, because then it's not gonna be able to move up. There's gonna be very little space for it to move back and forth. If it's flat, there's a lot more space for that water movement, and that allows the birds and the habitat to adjust to that. So it's making it flatter, and I think that's what the change was, we make it flatter, less open water, so we can allow for that change and allow the birds and all the plants and so forth to adjust to that change and have enough time to do it. It's over a period of 15 seconds.
Did that help answer your question?
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, and like I said, I appreciate that it is truly nature-based.
Oh, it's
There's no
totally,
concrete,
yeah.
and calling it
No
nature-based,
concrete.
it's
No
nature-based.
concrete.
Perfect.
And any of the water quality elements, it's all nature-based. It's like a bioswale like we have on either side of the nature center, and that there has to be some rock riprap as part of the stabilization for the outlet of the bioretention basin. But that's not concrete, that's, rock.
And I would, just a thought as a former retired teacher, this kind of project is just so calling out for kids to come and see what's happening, how it happens, and watching the bulldozer, make it, not just hear about it, but actually seeing it would be
And let them
incredible.
build simulations of it, yeah.
It's, I mean, I'd love to see something like that happen down the road.
Yeah, I got a question, and I kind of lost track. So The dam, it's not called a dam, it's called something else.
It's called a weir, and I think it's because it's not movable, it's fixed, so.
Yeah, so my question is this, what's keeping that from being open now?
Well, actually, it opened by accident. Part of it blew out a couple of years ago, and water was gushing out. And we all got excited, but then started realizing that because there's so much sediment built up over the years, decomposed cattails and just sediment running off, that the ocean water wouldn't really get in there much. It's sort of flat bottom, and sand exposed, maybe Lauren and Candace and I are kind of explaining this right, that if you just took the weir out, it needs to be more
It
engineered.
needs to be flushed through or something, or drained?
Am I right there? I'm using a lot of biomaterial.
It needs to be dredged out or
Yeah.
something?
The existing elevation of the lagoon is higher than sea level right now, so when the weir gets removed, the whole lagoon will go down.
So, right now, it's not a good time to do anything.
It needs to be removed and the entire lagoon needs to be constructed, graded down.
And the cattails.
It's like a bad dental appointment.
So a lot of people think you just take the weir out, what's the big deal? You know, like just go out in the middle of the night and chop it up and all would be fine, but because the elevation's higher and it just, I don't know what it, well, when that whole thing blowout happened, a bunch of us were speculating. Well, it was like, it probably be some kind of mucky mud flat. I don't know, I mean, that might
It's
be
kind of
nice.
like, you know, that thing goes down and then the ocean covers all of us and sinks the whole thing.
This takes it out.
And we all die.
Do you have a question?
Actually, something kind of related to what we just heard, maybe this is for Joan too. So with the plan to anticipate future sea level rise, are the particular plant species that will be put in, are you thinking about that in terms of how they're gonna more rapidly adjust to the changing water quality, et cetera, things like that? Because not, I mean,
Well, because we're so ahead of the larger enhancement project, we're gonna be planting for what wants to grow there now.
right,
So when the larger lagoon restoration project, that a lot of things will change. And so likely we're gonna have to go in and replant some of these areas, or we'll work with that larger project and maybe incorporate that into, because it'll be freshwater now and it'll be saltwater. So most freshwater plants don't like salt and they'll die. So there will be a transition either occurring naturally or we'll go in and actively plant.
I'm just wondering if you could take, I mean, from a very scientific perspective, think about varieties of native species that you can anticipate what the water, you know, the changing water quality. Because when you do a restoration, if you could put back something that has a much higher percentage success rate than putting in a variety that might only 5% of it survives a change, you know what I mean? Is there a way to incorporate?
Yeah, so like we have an alkali meadow, which
Yeah.
just has a lot of salt grass, and that tolerates really high salt. So we have we have species that are salt tolerant, and even like the cattail are quite salt tolerant.
Yeah.
So there will be a natural transition, whether, I don't know if we'll see an immediate mortality, but where we have, because the salts that increasing soils we're moving naturally have a high salt content, as this was salt marsh at one point. So we've included that in our plan, that is to think about which plants can tolerate salt. That's really the biggest.
And then a second question related to the one about the weir and the, what about the consideration as you open things up, if you dredge too much, there's a lot of carbon that's already stored there with the anticipation that you're gonna have what are called carbon volumes, that as soon as you begin to oxygenate and move things around, you it's what happens with the melting tundra. So you get a rapid release of an incredible amount of stored carbon, which would be unfortunate because that's what wetlands do, right? They store carbon better than so.
The nice thing to think about here though is, so the carbon's building up because we have our open conditions. we will still have a lot of wetland conditions. So you guys can talk about this too if you want. But I don't think we're gonna have a carpet box. We're still gonna have the anaerobic conditions, the tidal flushing, the wet that causes carbon to build up in wetlands. So I don't anticipate that gonna be a big issue.
Mr. Like the larger lagoon project is that, like wetlands are wonderful at bringing in, holding carbon, but then there's that period of the work.
Right.
And right now you want to think about how the lagoon is functioning currently. It is not functioning the way that it really should. So anything, whether it is small or whether it is large, will be a large benefit for all kinds of things. And so obviously transitionary, you have things that you mitigate for as you implement, and that's kind of built into the design and implementation and why they have so many of these permits and discussion and coordination. So that kind of happens over time. It doesn't happen all just at once. And then that's kind of what gets discussed and why these projects age. Unfortunately, but a good thing to talk through those issues or predicaments. So that's a good question, kind of something that comes up. So,
yeah, I have a question. Okay, so I volunteer here and I get asked this question a lot, and I tell them I don't know. So I was just wondering, maybe something that we can tell people. What is going to happen to all the fish and wildlife that are in the lake now? Like when they open it up and they bring the bulldozers in and they start clearing everything out. Is all like the fish and the frogs and everything just going to get like, incorporated into the soil? Like a mulch type of thing? Mulch. I get asked that question a lot, and I just was wondering what we should tell people.
Lie.
Yeah.
I never know how to answer that either. I think it's really restricted from freshwater, water, and where did the largemouth bass go with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people have suggested not a big fishing tournament out there. Like a whole weekend of fishing tournament. Allow people to go out there, waders and boats and whatever, and just catch whatever they want. Just for the weekend, like a weekend in Oceanside. Never gonna be fishing here again. So
If I understand there's like the east part, which is near the most fresh, the plant of the larger lagoon project. The most eastern part is a little more maybe fresh. There's a fishing hole. Is that still? Like there, at least an earlier plan, there was a fishing hole, and it's near the mouth of the creek, like right along Jefferson. And so that could be a place where the fish could migrate, but I don't know the restoration work itself. Exactly, I don't know.
It's gonna get better. Because
It'll be better, but the
it'll
people
become a
still,
breeding
still get
for
asked.
fish that normally would be here, like the sea bass that are breed. So I think it'll.
well, I just hope that the frogs don't go somewhere. They're probably going away, They go away with the
So it's true, like, it's gonna be better for biodiversity, but people are always, they worry about the animals, they don't want the animals to get hurt. And it's a real question, it's like, I don't know about them, I mean, frogs, there's probably, they can move better than the fish, but from looking, it's like being involved in some stream restoration projects in the inland northwest. The fish were removed from an area where there's impact and moved upstream. So there's probably, I don't know, either of you know or want to address it, but that might, I mean, that's a tough issue for a lot of people who, they don't want to see a fish get hurt, even if it's better for them in the long run.
I guess, we have a lot of birds here that
So that's part of what permits are for. That's what kind of what permits are for. So obviously there's more sensitive times, whether it's breeding, migratory, right? There's also monitors when they do implementation. So there are very sensitive rare species that are like there. They stop construction, right? So there's like protocols that are done when it's shovel ready, when you see the bulldozers and you see them actually making it. Obviously, though, we all know that any kind of human activity does impact these species in general, and there's somewhat of threshold to what that looks like, and that's when we hire biologists and experts specifically for those things to address. And then how you phase it is all dependent on how it's permitted, and then also, right, if you have funding. So if you don't have funding, right, like it's not something that is being addressed until you have funding to talk about it, design it, and figure that out. So that's kind of part of it, but for the major projects, you do it in phases so you can kind of prevent those things. And also, you want to make sure that it's done right and as timely as possible. So that's all very complicated, unfortunately, and why, like I said, it takes a long time, but right, the smaller projects, you have less of that, so they happen faster, and you usually see benefits way quicker.
Way faster.
Yeah,
Thank
so, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Speaking of time, is there any existing time frame or projection? Is it going to be done in phases? Is it going to be coordinated? I mean, it's going to be like 20 years.
Our project or is a separate project?
Both, because they're together, right?
Well, ours is gonna happen much, probably like 7
It's small.
Wow. We're only 6 acres.
Wow.
There's a 300 or whatever.
What was the question, Natalie?
What was the question?
Time
Can't hear you over
Oh,
here.
the
Time frame, how long and when, phases, when is it gonna start?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in our project, it's only 6 acres, so
yeah.
even though it's complicated, it's still easier to get funding, easier to get it through. Where the larger lagoon, it's, what do you say, 220 acres? It's huge.
Right.
And there's just more involved, so it would take longer.
So ours you will see in your lifetime.
Maybe your lifetime.
So currently for the larger projects, we only have funding up to, and this is just technical jargon, but a certain percent of design. And so until we get more funding past that, then that's kind of where we're at. So currently we're seeking funding. We're currently writing grants to do that. And then dependent on what we get awarded with, what we get complete, we then have to bring it back to our board on the progression and kind of our next steps.
Is there an expiration on the timeliness?
So by the end of this year, we should have a milestone of 30% design by the end of this year. And then sometime in June, summer of next year, it should be what we call it 65%, but it won't be, it's kind of misleading, but it's not complete. So we still have quite a bit of funding left to do.
So we'll be handing our construction document to these guys, so they can incorporate exactly what we did.
A question on the loss of the federal funding for the big project. Is there any update, hope, like a new schedule,
I don't know
potential?
which one you're referring to.
It was something that was recent.
Representative
Representative
Levin,
Levin.
the earmark, I think she's
It
talking
it
about.
was, it was an earmark that got knocked off the list here in Southern California.
I am not exactly sure. I wasn't handling that component, but we did have earmarking. I'm not sure whether it's there, whether it's not. We still have to reconnect after this year with all the things that are happening at the budget level. And then right now we have funding to almost 65%. So that would be till middle of next year.
Okay, that's good.
So I want to put it out to everybody who cares about the community support. And Lauren is seeking grants. Lauren's team is seeking grants. Ken, you're here with ACOM, but So he would be the one seeking grants. Community support makes a big difference in acquiring grants. So we'll put it out there when I know we've helped in the past, but we really want the project to, yeah, move forward. I want to quickly shift gears, and that guy in the purple shirt named Rocco. I didn't introduce him earlier, but he's our volunteer. He just said he's a volunteer. He's also the volunteer coordinator. So all the people here, like the people that helped in the kitchen registration, he's the one that brought them on board. And without volunteers staffing this place, it wouldn't be open. So, Rocco.
And on that note, if anybody would like to volunteer, meet you over there by the desk, and we can get you going.
So keep in contact. We have a website. Our website has a page on Wetland Reserve. My contact should be all over the place. You can also leave a message at the Nature Center if you don't know how to get hold of me. I'm happy to answer questions, take input. And it's an interesting project, and I often get asked questions I don't have the answer to, but they're really good. I learn, so awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody.